Good afternoon, student. So today we are starting unit number 3 in disaster management. So the unit 3 is about interrelationship between disaster and development. So there is a relation between a disaster and development. Development is what we are doing to prevent disaster, and something which we are doing is also indirectly is a cause for disaster. Okay, so third unit we will discuss about only the if what and all the relationship between the disaster and the development. So unit is as follows. So first of all, factors affecting your disaster: vulnerability, differential impact, the impact of development projects such as dams, then embankment and change in land use, etc. Then climatic change adoption, then IPCC scenario and scenario in context of India, relevance of Indian knowledge and appropriate technologies and local resources. So this is with respect to unit number 3, and today let us discuss about the factors affecting, and I think first 4 we will discuss today, and change in land use we will discuss in next class. Okay, so let me start. So first of all, we should know what is the relation between the disaster and the development. Okay, so disaster and development are closely linked. So disaster can are closely linked. Disaster can both destroy and do a development initiative and create development opportunities. So once if a disaster is occurring, this may leads to development on various aspects, and again development scheme can both increase and decrease the viability. So when there is you are going for a development, even that development leads to some disasters. Okay, so that is what we are going to see in this unit. Then traditional approach, there were two approach, traditional approach and current approach. In traditional approach, the attitude was that whatever is occurring is because of nature. The nature only, we are putting it as God. Okay, it is a nature. So that disaster especially is a natural ones. So they doesn't, in traditional approach, they doesn't accept that there are some disaster which are man-made. Okay, so they think everything is from natural. Accepting the death and damages and the property was apart from the cost. With such an attitude, most of the development plans were designed without consideration the effect of disaster would have on the community plans and vice versa. When the disaster did occur, the response was directed to meet emergency needs and cleaning up. So this was the traditional, and then current approach. It has been realized that much more can be need to be done to reduce the severity of the disaster. So there is much more thing we have to do. That is what the current approach says. And the growing body of knowledge on the relation between the disaster and development indicates the 4 basic themes. The themes behind is, first one is disaster set back development programming, destroying years of development initiatives. So even you might have done some development to prevent, but if the disaster is severe, then what will happen is it will destroy all the development which we have done previously. So again what you have to do, if the development done is being destroyed, you have to rebuilding after a disaster provides significant opportunity to initiate the development program. So once the development program can increase, an area of susceptibility to disaster will decrease. The development program can be designed to decrease the susceptibility of disaster and their negative consequences. So theme is, we develop only based upon the disaster occurring. So based upon the severity, the development also will increase, and this increase in development will always will reduce disaster. Thus the policy maker cannot ignore the relation between the disaster and development. Projects are thus being designed to include disaster recovery program and with long term development needs in mind. Only you should not supposed to do short time. See, once if a disaster occur, then at that time you will try to do some recovery program, and that recovery should not be short term. You must not think for that particular instant alone. You have to think for a long, such that again this may occur, and if that case what can be done. So everything you should keep in mind. So that is what they say, development is not just for that particular duration of time alone. Disaster can significantly impede the effectiveness of development resource allocation. So once one disaster has occurred, then you should put a plan such that you have to allocate resources and you have to try to make development such that even worst of this disaster occurs, that also should be prevented or damages should be minimum. So first let us start with vulnerabilities. So can be expressed as a degree of loss resulting from potential damage phenomena or hazard. It can be also been measured by the level of death, the amount of death, the loss of property or cash, etc. The population increase due to high birth rate and lack of good governance to make communities in developing nation to be highly valuable to disasters, which means the reason for more effort of disaster is due to increase in population. This we have to accept. See, just by putting blame on government alone is not a case, since the population rate is very high. Okay, even now they say the number of person death due to corona, but we cannot accept, because whatever death rate when it is compared to birth rate is nothing. Okay, so birth rate is increasing at a very rapid rate. So since the birth rate is increasing, what happens is whatever preventive measure we take, that is not sufficient, or that is not fully, what to say, it is to some extent only we are able to recover. So, okay, so unless otherwise this population increase is under control, whatever good things is been done, that will not be reached entirely. Okay, so that you have to take into account. So aspect contributing to vulnerability is, first one is political factors. Political factors is nothing but, see, since our country is a democratic country, for 5 years we are choosing, so even that 5 years the government is not stable in cases. First year they will behave properly, and some consequent years their work towards the community is less, and finally they start doing at the last 5 years. So due to this also there is severity in the disaster. Then economic factor, what is the economic status? See, for example, when you take a country where the requirement is not fulfilled from their own space, which means they are lagging in economy. So economic factor is also playing a major role. Then physical factor is the person which can be put in action, physical. Okay, then social factor and come ecological factor. Okay, all this put together forms the reason for contribution of your severity of the disaster. Okay, now differential impact on disaster management. See, when a disaster is occurring, you cannot say all the peoples are affected to the same level. Okay, so some may are affected more and some are affected less, and there is a widespread of this depending upon the following factors. Okay, so I repeat, whenever a disaster is occurring, the impact of the disaster is not same for all the peoples in that particular region. So some are affected more, some are affected less. Okay, so based on that we have classified as based upon caste, based upon gender, then based upon the age, then based upon the location and disability. Okay, so based upon this the effect due to disaster is varying. So first let us take, first one is caste. So low caste people are inhibited at low land areas, so they are only going to be affected more. The house condition of these people are very risky. Okay, during flood they have no space to take shelter, neither the higher caste people allow them to take temporary shelter in their Pakka house, which means, see, which has occurred even in Chennai, we can say it has occurred. Where it has been, that tsunami has affected the region, the nearby region was very posh, and that people they have not accepted, and this is not the case now. Since media has developed, or what to say, your WhatsApp, Facebook, now the people are trying to get merged. Okay, now they doesn't see caste much, so they try to merge and they try to help. But in general, when at the time of disaster, based upon the caste only, the disaster is there. Okay, we are there to help and they are here to receive the help and all nowadays. But nowadays we cannot say that everybody is not helping. That is not the case now. Now there is some change has occurred. But what happens is, at the time of disaster is occurring, all cannot help at the same time. It may take some time. During that time, the low caste people will get affected more. So that is what we mean to say. Lack of information about possible of occurrence disaster make threat to their lives and livelihood. Bonded labor increases. Scheduled tribes people, which is nothing but the people who live in hilly areas, are usually called as scheduled tribe. Okay, and they are more affected with respect to flood rather than plain area. So I repeatedly say that based upon the disaster, there are more damages, and this with respect to caste it is taking place, because high class people or medium class people is not going to stay near the slum or near the seashore or on the beds of the river. So when flood is occurring, at the time of occurring, it is being affected more to the people who is living closer, and at that point of time itself we cannot help them by moving them. It may take time. Okay, but in general it is not directly affecting. See, even you have tsunami, at the time the region like Adayar and all, it is not so affected, but where they were very close, the reason is their house type. So they have Paka house and they are being isolated from seashore, so they have been affected less. So this is the first. And second one is gender. The women's, children, widows, destitute and adolescents, girls are most valuable, which means women's, we know that there are some restriction is there in the community. In all community there are some restriction that women can do till some extent. They have to come out. Till they are coming out of that, they will have some more effect on disaster. Then children they cannot take their own decision, so they are dependent. Similarly, widows are dependent. So then the next one is destitute, is nothing but people who doesn't have even fulfilling what they need. Okay, and adolescent age is nothing but from childhood to adult, the transition period. During this transition period there is chance for more disturbance, so that is also a cause for an hazard. Okay, they have their own hazard and threat due to various types of health hazards. So when you say health hazard, I think we can understand when there is always based upon the age group you will have some issues, so that we call it as health hazard. Then young women, adolescent girls and young widows are exposed to sexual violence, that is due to some pressure. Okay, then elderly person are both women and men. When you come as elderly person, then there is no difference between women or men, both are unable to, because they have been neglected in all respect and aspects. Okay, so this is based upon gender. Then based upon age, we all know youngest and the oldest people are mostly impact destructively during any disaster. For that matter, if any disaster occurring, moving this two group of people is difficult, the youngest and the eldest, because youngest will be not more than 3 to 4 feet tall, so you cannot ask them to walk and come, so you have to lift them. Again it is a problem. Similarly, old people cannot run, even walking is difficult, so the removing these people from the disaster is little bit tedious. Then location, people living in low land area, river sides of the river, embankment, which is nothing but, I will explain what is meant by embankment. Then sea coastlines are most prone to be affected by the natural calamities. Place often prone to ethnic and communal violence. Place more prone to earthquakes. So these are the locations we say. Communal violence is nothing but there is some belts in even in Tamil Nadu where they usually have the habit of intercommunal fights. Okay, so that is what we call it as location, and that will not happen. This community violence and all will not take place in Chennai, because here all are having some job. So morning we will wake up and we will go for our work and come back. If time is not sufficient for us, but it will occur at some locations. So that is what is being mentioned. Then place more prone to earthquake. I will say where. Whenever you build any dam, surrounding regions are prone to earthquake because of huge volume of water being stagnated at a particular place. And then comes your disability, like visually challenged, hearing impaired, physically disabled, and mentally challenged. So all these types of people we might have come across. So if any disaster occurring, then trying to make this fellow to understand itself is difficult. Okay, so unable to hear danger signals, alarms, etc., difficulty in evacuation and protection, difficulty in getting access to relief and compensation and even money, difficulty in locating way to escape, and have to face a shock of losing all that they had attained in life: home, family, security. Okay, so this is with respect to disability. So we have seen what and all are the causes. Next, let us move on to the second topic for today's session. So I think I will just go back and tell you what we have seen and what is going to we are going to see. So presentation is started with we started with factor affecting. So now we have seen this first one and second one. Now we are going for impact of development project such as dam. Okay, now you have to tell me whether it is good or bad to have a dam. So when you say a dam, we say water is being stored in reservoir. So we say so many advantage. Now let us discuss about what is with respect to dam. Okay, so when you want to construct a dam, first thing you all should know is there should be two region separated by a valley. So try to close this valley region. So when you close this valley region, obviously water which is coming, which will get stagnated here, and we can use this water for so many purpose like irrigation or hydroelectric power station. All such things you can do. And first of all, let us start with principal basic benefits that will come into existence after development of water resources. So even we say that we depend on Karnataka and Kerala, and only if they open we receive water, and why can't we build a dam after the Kerala or Karnataka water from there? Why can't you build a dam? Okay, if you build a dam, that is good, and it is also having some more negative aspect. Okay, now let us always discuss about positive thing first, and then move on to the negative thing. First one is flood control benefits. So if you construct a dam, then if there is heavy water flow, that will get been stopped by this dam. So the low lying area will not get any effect due to flood. So it decreases and removes the flood effect. So this is the first and foremost main advantage of building a dam. So second one is land improvement benefits, are the extra benefits that will occur after an increase of soil productivity because of drainage and land improvement precaution. So when you construct a dam, what will happen is if high flood coming, that will try to corrode the soil, or it will try to remove the soil and it will try to go. That is totally avoided, because now you are not allowing the water to flow freely, so you have made it to stop. So under high flood condition, the canals and all, there won't be any soil erosion. Okay, the third one is electricity energy benefits. So there are so many ways of generation of electricity, and one is with the help of water. We call it as hydro power plant. Are the energy benefit values of more economical project out of two alternative projects. Okay, there is one advantage with respect to hydroelectricity. This will not be operated at all times. It will be operated only at peak requirement or peak time. See, there are, when you take power station, some power stations are always operated and some are operated only at peak load condition. And in some case what we do, in some hydro power station, what we do, when we have excess power, at the time water is being pumped from your low lying area to high area with the help of any motors arrangement. So we will try to fill the dam. Again, under high demand condition, we try to open the valves and we try to run hydro power station. Okay, so that type is also available. So only thing is, when you have water you can store it, and whenever you want power you can try to turn on. That is the advantage with respect to hydroelectric. Then transportation benefits are the benefits that will happen in case of there is any waterway transport in the project. So you can use it. Providing drinking water and domestic water benefits are different from each other and should be investigated one by one. So based upon the water which is coming, then based upon the purity of the water, then you can supply it as a drinking water or domestic water from the dam. Irrigation benefits: if water is flowing when you have already cultivated, at the time if flood is occurring, it will damage. So whenever you require for irrigation, at that time you can try to open your dam, so that at remaining time it can be kept closed. So only when you require, at that time if you open, then it is called as proper irrigation method. So that is one of the advantage. So till now we have seen some advantages with respect to dam. Now impact of dam project we are going to see, that is impact of development projects such as dams. Dam have one of the most important role in utilizing water resources. So how you are going to use your water, that is being done with the help of dams. Okay, dam has a greater deal of positive and negative effect on the environment by side to side. Their benefits like controlling stream, consequently preventing the flood, obtaining the domestic and irrigation water from the stored water, and generating energy. However, the location of dam is ecological results are the same. The environmental impact of dam can be classified according to different criteria as long term as well as short term impact. The impact on the close area and the impact on the region where the dam service, and the social and non-social impact beneficial are and their harmful effects are there. Let us discuss. So while preparing the water resource project, it is the important to make clear that the environmental aspect of the project may be when it is executed. The environmental impact of the dams have been written below, and they are: first one, as a result of dam construction and holding of sediments, which is nothing but when water is flowing, it will try to carry the sediments, and this sediments is very nutrition thing, or which is highly useful for agriculture. Now what happens is, once if you have constructed, it will not be carried and it will be stopped at one particular portion itself. So what happens, the rest of the region cannot receive it. Okay, so that is the first problem. So I repeat, so sediment is nothing but small particles of sand which is been taken by the water when it flows from high area to low area. So it will try to collect this and deposit on the sides of the river. But what happens is, if you are stopping at any particular portion, then the remaining part will not receive this sediment, and this is highly a disadvantage. Okay, so as the transfer of sediment is avoided by this way, then egg laying zone of fishes living in the stream ecosystem is restricted. So your fish will not see any sediment at all. If there is no sediment, then it thinks that is not the zone for laying eggs, and thereby it disturb your ecosystem. Then second one, archaeological and historical places in company with geological and topological places that are rare with their experimental beauties disappear after laying under the reservoir. So in the path of the water flow, if you have not constructed any dams, then it will be very nice to see, very beautiful place when the water falls from the top portion to bottom portion and during its path. Now if you have stopped anywhere, then the natural beauty gets disturbed. Okay, so that is the thing what they mention. Reproduction of migrating fishes. Migrating fishes itself is that fish is will not grow if the water gets stagnated. Okay, those are fish are nothing but when there is only flow in water, these fishes will reproduce and they will grow. So once you have put a reservoir, then there is no flow of water, water gets stagnated, so fish of that particular types alone can reproduce or breed, so that the remaining part of type of fishes will get disturbed. Okay, so that is what they say. Then the temperature of water, saltness and oxygen distribution may change vertically as a consequence of reservoir formation. This is because the water gets stagnated. So when water, if you are not making any reservoir, water is continuously flowing. So when the water is continuously flowing, it will have some amount of salt, and if the same water is stagnated, what will happen is concentration will start increase. So obviously the water will be more salty. So when the water gets stagnated, then that flow of the material dissolved will increase, and simultaneously the oxygen level will come down, because when you freely allow the water to flow, then only the water will get the oxygen from the air. And now what happens is only top layer of the water in your reservoir get in contact with the air, and the bottom laying waters in reservoirs will not get air in contact, so oxygen level will come down. Okay, this has been even published in one paper in 2001, that in dam the water very deep under the reservoir, that is when you take a dam, it will be like 30 feet or 40 feet or even 150 feet, 300 feet dams are there. So think about the water at the level below 150 feet or 200 feet. So that water and all will not get any air from the atmosphere, so oxygen content will be less. So what happens is only fish which can live without oxygen can only survive in reservoirs. The remaining fish will die. Okay, so that is the problem, and that type of fishes will be available only in sea. Okay, that you cannot bring from there, and you cannot do anything with your reservoir. Okay, so that is the problem. Next one is normal passing away of terrestrial animals and unrest, since the dam work as a barrier. Meantime, the upstream fish movement, arming and feeding is prevented, and thus fish population decrease significantly. This is what I have told previously. Then fishes can be damaged while passing through the floodgates, and suddenly if you open your dam, this fishes has to fall from very height, and they may get damaged. And even when they pass to turbine or any pumps, they get stuck and they get, even some fish they get died. Okay, so drainage of marsh and other water accumulation and evacuation work causing change in the stream bed. So, and again what you will do in your dam, and in summer season your water level will come down. So what you will do, you will go on digging things and try to make the dam a little bit more capacity. So at that time what happens is you try to remove the sand and throw it out. You don't know what and all you are throwing from that sand. Okay, it may contain egg, it may contain so many other things which is required, and all that will be evacuated, and you just think that water has to come and store, so you will deepen your reservoirs and all. Okay, so that is also another disadvantage. There will be a series of change in water quality as a result of drainage water retaining from so it is not free flowing water, so you are stagnating the water. Once water gets stagnated, the quality of the water will change, there is no doubt. Water quality will change, rather flowing compared to flowing water. If water stands still, then there is a chance for severe water quality issues, or the salt density can rise. Okay, then The species may change parallel to the erosion caused by the human activities or permanent increase in water turbidity as the outcome of the dam construction. Okay, next is discharge of toxic material. So when you use any hydro power plant or any other thing, something like lubrication oil or something like grease or something will be released in water, so that may go for toxic matters, and due to this there are some animals which may get affected, so that we call it as discharge of toxic matters. Then some increase in earthquake may occur because of filling of big dam reservoir. See, the volume of water is very high. When you say you storing a water, then that water will try to give a very huge force to the land beneath the water. Okay, so since it is very weight, it will try to impose more stress on the surface of the reservoir, so this may leads to earthquake, like movement of the underneath land, so that may leads to earthquake. Rise in evaporation loss may be expected as a result of increase in water surface area. So if the dam you have built, then the area of dam we will in terms of kilometer will be there. So there you stagnating your water, so that water will try to evaporate, and this will leads to loss. Microclimate is nothing but some local change in climatic condition, and some regional climate change may be observed related to change in air moisture presentation and percentage, and air temperature, air movement in big scale, and the chance in the region topography caused by the stagnant big scale mass of water. So due to this there will be some temperature change, like temperature if going high or low, or moisture level is high or low, it will have some effect on the neighboring places. So that is what been mentioned. Then water soil nutrient relations which come into exist in downstream, that is I have already told, the nutrition soil will not come down at all, because it will be get stored in the dam itself. So water have an habit of taking some small pieces of sand along with it and try to provide it for the entire region of water flowing. Now this will be totally stopped because of this water soil nutrient relation. What you have built as a dam, everything will come and hit the surface of dam and get stagnated there itself. Dam may cause increase in water source illness, like anything, when you say typhoid fever, malaria, cholera, everything, this dam water will increase and that will be discharged, and that will have an adverse effect. Okay, so because waters get stagnated, so stagnated water they call it as more mosquitoes will there, and if there is more mosquito is there, then reproduction will be there, and if there any malaria is coming, then the region surrounding the dam area will get affected more. That is what point number 14 says. Since water is stagnated, okay, if water is continuously flowing, then there is no chance for mosquitoes and all, but since it is stagnated water, then you have a chance. Then dam affect the social, cultural and economical structures of the region considerably, especially focusing people whose settlement area and land remain under water to migrate, affect their psychological negatively. Which means what this point says is, when you want to construct a dam, it is not just putting a wall between the two hilly region and stopping with the valley. So behind the dam you need large area for the water to store, like kilometers of area. What about the people living there? Previously water might have flowed in a particular path and the remaining region the people might have lived. Now what you have done, you have constructed a dam, so you have to see both the sides of the dam. You are not supposed to see only the opening side of the dam. What about the place where water is being stored, where you might have taken the land from so many people? What about their condition? What is their future? What is their level? So that is what they say, dam affect socially, because I might have lived there behind that particular valley region, I might have lived. Now because of constructing a dam I have to be evacuated, So all that will have some negative psychological effect on me, because I have loosened my area which I have given for construction of dam. So that is also one of the problem in constructing a dam. Okay, then comes your assessment studies. So I think now we have concluded. So if you construct dam, you can store water, that is plus point. What you have so many negative aspect also with respect to constructing a dam. So now how to construct? So you must go for an assessment study. Numerous other effects can be added to the list. The list what I have given is very less, that is list about the negativeness of the dam is very less. Even I can continue it. The most important point that must be considered here is distinguish the temporary harm from the long term and irreversible harms clearly. That is, once if dam is constructed, what and all the harmful effect I am going to receive, what is short term and what is long term. There are some short term, there are some long term. It is compulsory that a group consisting of, so before when you have decided that you are going to construct a dam, then a group of people should be there. They have to sit and do some pre-work, and based upon their result only, and based upon their assessment only, you can build the dam. Okay, so what are the group of people is, first of all, a biologist, then come engineers, then come hydrologist, and then come social scientists and other profession groups attend the environment impact assessment study. So they all have to sit and do and their study. So only if they are okay on all aspect, see, that is not going to affect more on biological. The engineering is how you are going to construct the dam, how the structure of the dam you are going to do, what is the maximum volume of water that can be stored, what can be the condition that the dam will not break, how we are going to do. All that comes under engineering division. That is basically civil and electrical and mechanical engineers. They three play the major role. They three only are called as engineers. When you say as engineers, only three group of people will be called as engineers. One is civil, another one is electrical, and another one is mechanical. So all these three engineers have to sit there. It is not only civil, it is not only electrical or not only mechanical. All the three have to sit and do the assessment. Then hydrologist is nothing but person who deals with water. Then because the water has to be stagnated, then the underneath surface should be capable of holding that water. So that they have to do study. Then social is whether there is any harm to the nearby villages or nearby community people. Is there any disturbance? All that thing will be done by social scientists, and other professional groups attend the environment impact assessment studies. So based upon their studies only, as the result you can go or you can say no. Okay, and that alternative to do their duty in the estimation of environmental effects. Then effects of dam, this is like a small assignment I am giving. Okay, so I am just giving a brief thing. You have to sit and write this assignment and give it to me. So effect of dams. So what is the effect of dam on hydraulical system? What is the effect of dam on atmospheric system? Then what is the effect of dam on earth crust or the land below the dam? Then terrestrial biological system, then aquatic ecosystem, and finally effect of dam on human life. Okay, that is also there a major role on human life. When you say because of dam we have all plus and negatives, it is not only with respect to aquatic ecosystem like fishes and all, even human has some effect of due to dam. So all that thing we have to take it into consideration, and just you take this as an assignment and submit me. Okay, among this you can take any one. You can just take hydraulic system or atmospheric system or earth crust or terrestrial biological or aquatic ecosystem, or you can even take effect of dam on human life. Next comes embankment. So in disaster management, this is like building a structure like wall like structure, so as the water does not enter the region under flood condition. I think you all know, some might have even seen near Saidapet bridge. So in the Saidapet bridge, what happened is, at the time of tsunami, water level has increased to a very great height that even water crossed over the bridge. Okay, the bridge is around 14 to 15 feet height from the ground, but the increase in water has crossed the bridge, so water level is beyond 15. Okay, that has happened, so that all might have disturbed so many peoples who are lying on the banks. So now how to protect them? So in order to protect them, we have to go for embankment. In embankment, what they do is they build a structure such that even if water rises, the region near that will not get affected. But one thing is there, that is, it is not a one time process. If you build, then you have to closely monitor, and if there is even flood increases, you have to increase the height. That is not been done in so many places, and that may leads to so many problems. So solution for flooding have a long history in India. So it is not a new case in our India. Flood is not a new case. We have a long history from back from Mughals and British. Even Mughals and British, they have built an embankment in India, and there is even some places even now we can quote it, that is embankment done by Britishers in Chennai. Okay, in some region, when you in some part of Chennai, they have built us and given for us, and in some case we have maintained it, and some case we have not even maintained it properly. So due to that, disaster is occurring. The embankment is an uplifted earthen structure constructed along the river channel to artificially reduce the size of flood plains. So when flood is coming, what will happen? The area of water will try to increase, not in lengthwise, I am talking about in breadthwise. So if the breadthwise, if the water area is increasing, then land near that particular region will get submerged. Okay, so that will leads to problem. So what we can do is build a wall. See, 90 degree I cannot build a wall, straight wall, because the flood can easily break it. So it will be with some particular angle. Okay, we will see what is that. Okay, and the land outside the embankment is supported to the safe from flood. However, embankment breach resulting in flooding the safe areas in a routine. So you can see here, this is river. So this is river. There is two type of doing this called as embankment. One is what we will do. See, when the house is very close, so at that case I cannot go for low area, then one step and then next step and all. So this is not possible when the houses are very close. So what we will do is we will build an erect wall. So that is what I have told. This side it can be 90 degree, but this side it cannot be 90 degree. It should have some angle. This angle is just to have an extra force which is being imposed by this water will not damage. Okay, so it will try to reduce the force of the water. So like that you have to build. So this is called as flood wall. So this is like flood wall. I think when you see in Saidapet bridge, now they have constructed this. So try to reduce the water to enter this region. So they have built like this. They will build this to some extent and then leave. So thereafter, once this flood water goes in that region, there you don't have any house and all. So where you have the people residing nearby, so there you build this wall. So barrier built along the river banks made of concrete, stone or brick. Next method we call it as sleeve, where it is not a single wall like structure. Water can be allowed to rise to some extent, then again you construct your leave. So it is like a step process. So water will be allowed to expand slightly and then you will try to build. So it is like this. So here it will, water level can reach to this extent till when some flood is occurring. Then if flood increase beyond a particular level, then it will go till this region. Now what happen is you are itself providing an area, so the force of the water will come down. So in this case the force of the water will be more on this wall, whereas force of the water on this wall will be less. Okay, so when you will go for this is when you have more area. Only if the buildings or house is at this location, you have already have around 500 meters to 600 meters if you have, then you can construct this structure so that water will not have the same force as water is having at this type of method. So that is the advantage. So this we call it as Levy's method. Wide embankment built along the river's bank, made from clay, sand or soil, sometimes topped with sandbags. So here we will keep some sandbags and all. Okay, so benefits are widely used in Assam and elsewhere in the country as a way to contain river flooding. They help in water resource management, which benefits people inhabitation the watershed. So watershed inhabitation is nothing but living closer to the region where water level will increase when there is flood. They are generally cheap, quick and most popular method for flood protection. See, you rather building changing their house, what we might have studied in unit number 2, where we have told that you build a building such that you don't have ground floor, build on first floor, second floor. All such things cannot be done in slummy areas, because already they have house only with asbestos, shaminas or thin aluminum foil sheets and all. So I cannot ask them, I cannot make them to build first floor, second floor and all. Rather I will build this type of wall. Once embankment are built, more cropping is possible in previous flood prone areas. Construction of embankment with proper roads has been prescribed as a providing useful communication linkage. Okay, and whenever you have benefits, you will have also have challenges. Build and forgot mentally that is currently present in the bureaucracy. We might have started doing this, then when the flood has gone, stop it at that condition itself, not finishing the work. See, what we will do is, if flood is occurring, try to put an sandbag and try to increase the height and try to prevent the water entering. Then once the water entering is stopped, leaving at that instant itself and moving. Rather, what should you do? You should build properly. You have to put a concrete building like structure, and then you have to do as a permanent thing. That is not in case in our countries. So construction of embankment causes the drainage lines to be blocked. See, some drainage will come and fall in that particular channel or the canal. Now by constructing this, that will be blocked. So what happens is drainage stagnation starts. So you have to take care. In Bihar in 2008, there was an embanked branch in Kosi river basin. This year it is a part of Assam, Bihar and West Bengal beaches have caused flooding. So if we are not properly doing, this may affect some other region. So you have to take such condition that you have to protect the entire flow of that particular river. If you are trying to raise the level, increase the height, then the water will try to flow in another channel where it is low. So that you have to take into consideration. Only in few cases have newly constructed are there, so that is more helpful. Then decentralization with the community management of embankment will not be easy, where the society is fractured along the lines of caste and religion. Again we have seen it is low caste, so building constructing is also in a local fashion, and nearby you have as middle class constructing in a different fashion. So that is should not be done. Okay, so that may be poor method, so that should be avoided. Then embank related flood generally comes fast without warning, hence more destructive. So you have to do it well advance. Okay, additional problems to the people who lives within the embankment, with the number in millions in India. So you have to do it as a full-fledged job and try to construct it so that the entire people gets benefited. Their and destructive of any embankment is due to earthquake. So if some earthquake comes, this get distracted, and you should take care that you have to rebuild it. Whenever now flood is not going to come, why you want to reconstruct? And like that, if you leave and under when flood is coming again, that will be a huge problem. Even though you might have constructed it, but get destroyed due to some small earthquakes. On that small problem, if it's not seen at that right time, that may cost you to major problem. Okay, way forward, we need a paradigm shift in the way of embankment and management. Rising and strengthening of existing has to be take place. To incentive collective action from the community, the state has to create an enabling institutional environment. The community based organization should be empowered. See, only depending upon the government is waste. The community based activity should also be there. Okay, then the community should act as a partner for maintenance activity. Even in some case, government might have constructed well and left to you, and the local community people might not maintain it properly, and that leads to also a disaster. Improving the maintenance of existing flood infrastructure rather than spending money on new. So if there is already is there, try to improve it and try to make it more strong. Sustaining and improving natural system ability to observe flood water and all should be there. Flood mitigation policies that complement the embankment are urgently needed to mitigate the impact of largest floods. Such policy might include flood plan zoning, relocation of at-risk people, enforcement of existing building code, insurance and better warning. I think last line, I think there's nothing to explain. It is very clear that these has to be done. Okay, thank you. So with this we will stop today for today's class. So if you have any doubts,